What is going on, everybody? This is your NWA Into the Fire review, dropping for Saturday night of December 14th, 2019. Lee Sanders here from the RCWR show. Thank you guys so much for checking out this NWA Into the Fire recap review. Man, I tell you, overall, what a solid pay-per-view event. I gotta say, this was a good, strong home run for me, and I can't wait to see what NWA is going to be bringing to us in the very near future as far as pay-per-views go, because they did reveal when their next pay-per-view was going to be coming at us. It's going to be going down in January. I'll tell you guys a bit about that later on in the show, so we're kind of going to go a little bit around the place, a little bit out of order. I definitely want to deal with the last visual image that was burning in our minds there, which was the one, the only, Woooop, Marty Scurll making his presence felt in the NWA as he confronted the NWA World Heavyweight Champion and Nick Aldis. It was one hell of a confrontational throwdown, if you will, as it didn't get physical, but there was a nice, good, strong stare-off and everything between these two men. And we need to remember that these two men grew up as they were coming up in the sport of professional wrestling. They've known each other for about 15 going on 20 years. So they've intertwined here and there over the years. And let's not forget, for you NWA fans, or you fans that are just now coming on board a little bit late to the NWA Ring of Honor and everything, Nick Aldis and Marty Scurll, they did lock up before, and it actually had went down earlier this year. If I remember it right, there was some type of a World Tournament Cup thing that was going on, but don't quote me on that. My memory is a little bit rusty, so I'll rely on you veteran wrestling fans to get me and everybody else caught up to speed. But I definitely remember earlier in 2019, these two men had locked it up and everything. So you've already got an established history right there, on top of the fact that these two men have known each other for about 15, close to 20 years, right? Add all of that into the mix, and now you've got Marty Scurll resurfacing once again, his path, Nick Aldis' path, crossing once again. Oh man, and things is basically gonna culminate in these two locking it up for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah man, sign me up. I know that there was a few people online that, and look, I did notice it myself because I did not see when these two men locked it up earlier in the year, but to see the height differential, yeah, Marty Scurll, he's a tiny little bit of a shorty. Magnus looks like he's about maybe 6'4", going on 6'5", and Scurll looks as though he's probably about, he looks as though he's maybe 5'9", maybe 5'8" even. I'll say 5'8". I'll be a little bit more gracious. I'll say 5'8". So you definitely see that there is a little bit of a height difference and everything. And I tell you what, I was feeling him. I didn't have a problem with him wearing his coat, coming out with the umbrella and all that other stuff. I didn't have a problem with that. But I know nowadays, guys, they got a thing for wearing skinny jeans because they figure, hey, I've got this nice tiny waist and I've got nice fine calves and ankles and all that. I'm going to roll out and I'm going to wear my skinny jeans, yo. And look, me personally, my big black ass, you ain't gonna ever see me in no damn skinny jeans. I remember the one time I did try to wear skinny jeans. I had a gay guy that was trying to holler at me thinking that I was rolling that way, and it was, nah man, homie, don't play that. It wasn't even that way at all, right? So, and then some of you may say, well, Lee, you, not for nothing, bro, but you were trying to wear skinny jeans most likely while you were still a thick dude. I can remember trying to wear skinny jeans when I was a skinny dude, and it was basically the same effect. And not to mention, I just did not feel comfortable wearing skinny jeans. To each its own, but I as a man, I still don't quite understand it. I don't fully grasp it, but whatever, it's all good. I don't know if Marty Scurll should have came out there with the skinny pants, skinny jeans. I don't know if he really should have came out wearing all that, because I'm just looking at overall the visual presentation. I'm going, okay, this guy is just a tad bit shorter, than Aldis. It's pretty obvious. He looks to be a tiny bit smaller than Nick Aldis. It's a bit obvious. And then you're looking at the legs and everything, because that's the one thing that is exposed. And you're like, man, dude's got some chicken legs. What the fuck? So for me, that was just a little bit buzzkill, but I was able to push all of that to the side and just go, hey, how cool of a badass moment is this that we're getting to see Marty Scurll? And look, I was interacting with a few people in the Discord, and shout out to those of you I was interacting with in Discord and those of you I was interacting with on social media and everything, private messaging and all. And, you know, the big question right now, hey, so what's going to be happening with Marty Scurll and the AWA? Is that something that eventually is going to go down? Are we eventually going to see Marty Scurll in the AEW world? And I don't know, guys. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know if it's going to be a case where eventually we will see Marty Scurll in the AWA. And who knows, maybe he's going to be doing some double dipping. Maybe he'll do AWA and the NWA at the same time. Or if for right now, he is just not, I'm just with NWA all the way. I'll take some independent dates here and there, but NWA, they definitely will get all of my attention wherever and whenever they need it, right? So your guess is as good as mine, but I think given what's going on with the current climate in AEW right now, I think it's actually a good thing that he is not there right now, because AEW, they are still having their growing pains right now. They are still trying to establish their women's division. They are still trying to carve out identities for the women that make up their roster. They are still trying to carve out identities overall in AEW for the supporting cast that makes up that promotion. Other than Kenny Omega, the Bucks, Cody, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, even Pac to a degree, Brandy, other than all of those people that I just named, nobody really, and you know what, not for nothing. And I think that they should have began it with the Dark Order, which is the video packages that they've been doing, rather than just have them pop up and they're just destroying people left and right. And then they go on ahead and decide a couple of months into it, oh, we'll start doing video packages explaining exactly who the Dark Order is and everything. No. You should have done that from the get-go and bring the fans in that way. So they're having all of these growing pains that's going on right now, all these learning curves basically, and then introducing somebody new every couple of weeks and everything. The real estate is just too much right now. The foundation that AEW currently has, they just need to work with, and they need to build from there. So for you Marty Scurll fans that would just love to see him in the AEW world, I think for the time being, I think it's good that he's not over there. And I hope that at least not for another 6 months, we don't see him in that universe. I think coming off of ROH and everything, this world of NWA fits better for him. And look, if you are a ROH fan, I know there was definitely a couple of you guys that were saying, oh, Lee, are you going to be checking out ROH Final Battle? And hey, look, ROH is having its respected growing pains as well. The fiasco crap that went down with Kelly Klein, how they basically were gutted out over the past 24 months, basically. They did have the talents of Cody and a few other people, and they've all just basically, okay, we've seen with our own two eyes that we can go and we can do this with our own branding, that we can do this with our own brand, because their names is their own brand, right? So they were able to do what they were able to do with All Out and everything, All In. They were able to do everything with that. Everything culminated in that, and thus the birth of AEW, if you will. And so ROH is going through some serious growing pains right now, to the point a lot of you guys have pointed out, hey, man, that ROH, New Japan Pro Wrestling show at MSG, a lot of people had got invested into that because they thought they were going to be getting Cody and all of them. How were they supposed to know that in time that none of those cats were going to be a part of that MSG show. How were they supposed to know? And I feel exactly where you're coming from. ROH is going through some serious growing pains right now. I mean, not for nothing, they've got a couple of bright spots that's been going on, and I don't want to get into the full card for them right now because that's an entirely different show. But you see some of the things that had happened at this past weekend's Final Battle, and you go, okay, well, this is kind of good and everything, but they've had their own respected growing pains, and it's not helping with Joey Mercury adding a whole bunch of fuel to the fire and everything, right? All the stuff that he's been putting out there on social media. So it's toxic when it's all said and done. It's very toxic right now. So to see someone like a Marty Scurll, who a lot of Ring of Honor fans would agree, Matt Taven as the ROH champion? If anybody should have been next, it should have been Marty Scurll. Marty Scurll maybe should have gotten the title off of Jay Lethal. It seemed like he had so much momentum going in his favor and everything. Why did it go to Matt Taven? Like, what the hell? So, and they just really dropped the ball in how they were dealing with Marty and everything. And I'm happy to see Marty in this position where he is trying to get away from them and everything. He deserves better. And I think he's definitely going to get just that and more in working with the NWA and everything. But that was a great standoff that the two of them had. Now, sadly, after NWA Into the Fire went off the air, we had heard audio. It was Marty Scurll's music, and the stream came back up. Like initially, okay, so that's the end of the pay-per-view. But if you ordered it on Fight TV, which is what I did, they actually had came back after about 10 seconds of a black screen, and you heard Marty Scurll's music, and Marty Scurll had went around to the table to be interviewed. And you guys got to work with me. I'm still getting a lot of these people's names down and everything that works in NWA, but the Hispanic looking guy with the glasses and the short hair and the suit, basically Marty Scurll had went over to talk to him and was explaining why he was there in the NWA and everything, what brought him. And sadly, the stream got interrupted. And I was asking a lot of people, hey, for those of you that's checking this out via Fight TV, are y'all having the same issue? Because I was streaming it initially through my iPad, but I connected my iPad to my Xbox so that I could basically watch the pay-per-view on my smart TV, thanks in part to my Xbox. You guys that have done it before, you know exactly the connection I'm talking about. As easy as 1, 2, 3. It doesn't sound complicated at all. I know some of you guys hear that. You're like, whoa, sounds like you got to go through a bunch of loopholes. Not at all. But it sucked. It sucked that the stream had got interrupted and everything because I really wanted to hear Marty. And by the time the stream was able to resume, Marty was done, his music was playing, and that pretty much was officially the end of the pay-per-view and everything. So you're kind of going, okay, well, that fucking sucks, but whatever. So as you guys had heard there, we were talking about how Scurll had the stare down with Nick Aldis and everything. And I do want to mention that we can go into it now. I did tease earlier that NWA had revealed when they were going to be doing their next pay-per-view. Their next pay-per-view is going to be going down January the 24th. I repeat, the pay-per-view is going to be happening January the 24th. That is going to be their first pay-per-view of the new calendar year in 2020. And one of the things that's very interesting, which is going to be happening at that respective pay-per-view, is there is going to be a match to crown a new NWA television champion. Yeah, they're bringing back the NWA TV title, and that was unveiled by Stu Bennett, aka Wade Barrett, and I'll get to him and his commentating work in a hot second. We do not know the name of the pay-per-view right now, and as far as where this pay-per-view is going to be happening, your guess is as good as mine. Is it maybe going to be happening in Atlanta, Georgia at the GPB studios once again? Who knows? Only time will tell. And what about when our tickets going to go on sale? All of that information, hopefully, we will know about in the coming weeks, right? But yeah, I would like to believe that Nick Aldis and Marty Scurll are going to be fighting each other for the championship at that respective pay-per-view. Kind of seems as though it makes a lot of sense in the world. And I saw a lot of questions that were being asked about, hey, what's going on with NWA TV? When is that going to be returning? Well, they're going to be taping Sunday and Monday NWA Power episodes. So I don't quote you on this, but I remember when I was watching the season 1 finale of NWA Power, I remember them saying something along the lines of, we're going to be back with new episodes on the 17th. I believe I heard that right. And if anybody wants to correct me on that, you guys are more than welcome to do so. But I could have sworn they had said they were going to be doing something as far as the new season goes, basically before Christmas. So, but you know, what I was more eagerly anticipating was some type of an announcement with regards to the Retromania game. I was really hoping that we would finally get to hear some type of a release date on the Retromania game, because I don't know how closely you guys have been following that and everything, but that game looks so freaking good. And I am a old school fan of wrestling games like that with the 8-bit graphics basically and all that, because I grew up on the Fire Pro Wrestling and everything. So I mean, this is right up my alley and everything. So I was really hoping we were going to hear some type of an announcement with that, since NWA is really behind this and they've been pushing the hell out of it and everything. But your guess is as good as mine when that's going to be coming out and everything. So as we teased earlier there, Marty Scurll facing off there against Nick Aldis. So as you guys were kind of maybe able to figure out there, Nick Aldis did retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. That actually was a pretty good match, I have to say. I actually enjoyed it. It was the 2 out of 3 falls match. Remember the stipulations for that: Brian Hebner was going to be the referee for the first fall, while Tim Storm would be the referee for the second fall. And if things got to a point where, hey, we need to do a third fall, and then what would happen, the referee would be determined by a coin flip. All right, so let's tell you a little bit about that match. So basically, it opens up, both men, they're going at it, nice, good, slow pace and everything. And I would say probably about, it felt like maybe 4 to 5 minutes into the main event match, we had saw Camille. She came out. Nick Aldis is looking at her and he's going, I told you that you had the night off. I do not want your help here. You know, you are not needed. I need you to go to the back. And Camille was just standing there, mugging Nick Aldis like a mofo. And finally, she reluctantly went on ahead and moved. Now, as he was talking to her and everything, James Storm at this point, he's just waiting for his opportunity. When Nick Aldis turns around, wham, hits him with a super kick, lays him out to basically steal the first fall, right? And after that, if I remember it right, James Storm, he had tried to continue to pound on Nick Aldis, but then if I remember it right, Tim Storm. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Tim Storm, because I don't have any notes. I'm just going off of memory here. Tim Storm, he came in there and he said to Brian Hebner, hey, it's my go now. I'm the referee for the next fall. Let me go ahead. You roll out now and let me try to get control again. So as much as Storm wanted to be like a rabid pit bull and wanted to go in and attack Aldis, Storm actually held him off. Tim Storm, that is, the referee, held off the Cowboy and was saying, no, wait, you gotta wait. And even though Aldis never really came to his feet, referee Tim Storm had no choice but to call for the bell and everything. And pretty much Aldis, it's like it is what it is. But Aldis seemed to come back on the rebound there, holding it down pretty good. So they pretty much, continue to go at it and everything. You had a nice little spot where Aldis had fired back, whipped James Storm into the Christmas tree, and you go, no, not the Christmas tree. It was a nice little spot that they had right there. A lot of back and forth that had continued. Closing moments as far as trying to set up the second pinfall or submission, but the second fall in general for the match. We saw James Storm come in with some strikes. then to the ropes, catches Aldis. There was a belly-to-belly suplex, follows up with clotheslines. Then Storm hits the eye of the Storm, only got him a near fall. Storm then grabs a chair, but Tim takes it, and Aldis gets a black slide for a 2 count. Then a small package even things up. Okay, so that pretty much had came about, I would say, maybe 10 minutes after the fact. The two of these guys, they had continued to brawl and everything, while everything was just, it was still chaotic. They're just going at these two men. They didn't care about the referee. They just wanted a piece of each other's ass big time. So you've got Tim and you've got Brian. They're trying to figure out, okay, so what's going to happen? Who's going to be the referee here? How are we going to work this out? So there was another referee that was introduced into the mix and everything. And this referee had said, hey, I've been instructed by the NWA officials, by NWA upper management, that the way the referee is going to be chosen for the final fall, it's going to be a coin flip. And he basically went over the whole heads represents, tails represents. And so our referee for the third fall, it would be Brian Hebner. So at this point, you're kind of going, this feels a bit weird right here. It feels very, very like the screws are in here. It feels like the cowboy is going to be screwed once again here. What exactly is going on here, right? Closing moments of this matchup. We had saw a elbow drop. The elbow drop was applied by, I want to say it was Aldis. If I remember it right, Aldis had went back to the top rope, followed with some strikes. Storm kept fighting him off, knocked him to the mat. There was an elbow drop for a 2 count. There was a code breaker by Storm, knocked him over. Elbow drop followed for a 2 count. There was a code breaker. They traded shots again. Aldis had hit with a tombstone. Hit to the top, did another elbow drop. That was a 2 count. There was a ref bump as Storm had avoided a lariat by Aldis. So that pretty much had sent Brian Hebner out of the equation. Brian act like he got hit over the head with a damn hammer and he pretty much was out of it. So as all of this chaos is going on, you're going, okay, so is Camille maybe going to get involved here? Because remember, a couple of weeks ago on NWA Power, she whispered something to the cowboy James Storm. I'd like to believe it was a lot more than just Hell Hydra. Well, I believe it was a lot more than that. So what exactly did she say to him? Who knows? But at this point, you're expecting for her to maybe interfere or whatever. But that doesn't happen at all. And yeah, you got referee Earl Hebner. He's out of it and everything. Tim Storm, he's checking on Hebner. And you got Aldis, he's looking on. He's like, hey, man, come on. I need you into this. It was either Aldis or Storm. One of them was basically looking at Tim Storm saying, we need a referee here. So Tim actually was reluctant to get in there because Brian won by default. But Tim went on ahead. He slid in there and everything and took over. Storm had countered with a sunset flip. Followed up with the Bulldog sit down. That only got him a 2 count. There was a super kick by Storm. Aldis had exposed the turnbuckle while Tim did not see any of this going down. And eventually he had sent Storm going into that exposed turnbuckle and then followed it up with the cloverleaf. And that pretty much was it. That pretty much was it. And it was weird because Storm was basically out. He was out of it when Aldis had applied that clover leaf. But, despite that, Tim, he just basically, even though Cowboy wasn't responding, he pretty much had all he needed. He signaled for the bell. So, still, your NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Nick Aldis, who defeated the Cowboy Jim Storm at about 21 minutes and 50 seconds. That's pretty much how it had went down. So, yeah, that was just, it was crazy how that match had ended. A lot of energy was just sucked out of the arena when that went down because it did kind of seem a bit lazy to finish to a certain degree, because you're going, man, we're going to end it like this. This is like your big major pay-per-view here, all this great buzz, and we're pretty much going to end it like this. What the hell? But then if you kind of really took a step back and looking at things in retrospect, you kind of said to yourself, nah, you know what? Doesn't feel like this is the end of the pay-per-view. It doesn't feel like we're going to go off like this. It feels like we're going off into another direction. Who's maybe going to pop up here and get in the face of Nick Aldis here? And that's actually where I was. I just couldn't figure out who was going to be getting in the face of Aldis after this, but it did kind of seem as though something was being set up bigger and better, as far as, okay, Aldis, you might have been able to escape past this person, but now here comes your next challenger, right? And so I'm glad that it went the way that it went, because it kind of balances itself when you really stop and think about it. Because you'd be surprised, there was actually a decent amount of people that were crapping on this finish on social media and everything. And once again, I got to be very complimentary of Nick Aldis. I remember him as he was coming up in Impact Wrestling and everything, and I gotta tell you, this man has made leaps and bounds of improvement. I can remember a time where Nick Aldis, and I'm sure he would attest to this to a certain degree, and I'll tell you what, if I ever had an opportunity to sit down and interview the man, I actually would mention this and be very complimentary and everything, and really try to pick his brain a little bit on, when did he reach that point where he decided, okay, you know what, I really need to do everything I can and double down and try to get better. And I'm very curious who helped him along the way and everything. But his overall personality, he is now more charismatic, right? He cuts really good, solid promos. And the Nick Aldis that was in Impact Wrestling / TNA was not any of those. All he had was a good look, and he had a little bit of bravado or whatever, but there really wasn't anything there, really. So all it was a good look and decent wrestler. So just to see the leaps and bounds that he's been able to make, I just continue to be amazed by this man, and he's in the prime of his career right now. So, I mean, he still, as far as I'm concerned, hasn't even really begun to scratch the surface of his apex, of his truest potential. But I continue to be amazed at the great work that he does and everything. And yeah, whenever you're trying to set up Marty Scurll and going in there having that standoff against Aldis, you had saw Nick Aldis going over to the NWA power table and everything, being interviewed, and he's all of a sudden he's cutting this babyface promo. And the fans in attendance, they're smart as hell. They're saying, but you cheated. You're a cheater. You're a world champion cheater. What the hell? You want to talk about honor and prestige and blah, 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 blah. You cheated to retain your title. And it really would have been nice to hear Aldis kind of play off of that and say, hey, when you're a champion, you do what you need to do by any means necessary. It would have been nice to hear him kind of counter what some of the fans were saying that were heckling him and everything, but they did not go in that direction, or at least he did not go in that direction. He would not bite. Here was a good opportunity to play off of the fans, try to own them or whatever, and he didn't go in that direction. But yeah, shout out to him, and also shout out to the Cowboy James Storm. Mad shout out to him. I mean, he had an opportunity there with the WWE down in the NXT division, but for whatever respective reasons, he decided, okay, you know what, this ain't for me. I'm out of here. And who knows what might have happened with him in NXT. It's kind of one of those things where all you can do is just say, what if? But yeah, it's what if, pull that Creed song, what if I, Let's kick things off with the very top of the match here. And by the way, shout out to Joe, Golly, and Stu Bennett. They did a phenomenal job on commentating. I know we still have a decent amount of people that are a little bit sour over what had went down with the exit of Jim Cornette and everything. But look, when it's all said and done, I do not look, and my biggest piece of advice that I can give to fans of the NWA product and the talents that's there, I would say do not look at Stu Bennett now being on commentary as a Jim Cornette replacement. I don't want you guys thinking that way. What I want for you guys to say is, okay, so Jim Cornette, he is his own. There's no comparison to what he's able to do on commentating, what he's able to do as a manager or a podcaster, etc. In this case, though, we're going to go with the argument of commentating. There's just no comparison. But as far as, hey, who is a good successor? Let's see what this guy is able to do. I had no problem with Stu Bennett on commentating. Now, I've heard a little bit of his commentating off and on over the years from other promotions that he's worked for, and I didn't really have a problem with him. I think what's going to be my biggest takeaway from the commentary tonight going forward, especially on the NWA Power episodes, I want to hear more personality from Stu Bennett, especially from a standpoint of getting you into the mindset of what's going on with those wrestlers. Give us that wrestler mentality and everything. And it felt more, and you could see throughout this pay-per-view that Stu was reading heavily his notes there, while Joe was just pretty much loose. He pretty much had an idea what he needed to cover. Very rare you saw him face buried in the notes, but there were a few times throughout the pay-per-view where you saw Stu Bennett face was into the notes and everything. And I just feel that over time, they need to let Stu, once Stu starts really getting familiar with all of the talents and everything like that, and he's been able to really kick back, have many side conversations with them, he'll become more looser and everything. And my biggest piece of advice to NWA fans is, or even Jim Cornette fans that began watching NWA Power because of Jim, I would just say give Stu Bennett time. Do not look at him as a replacement for Jim Cornette. Just look at him solely as, oh, he's the new commentating guy. Just treat him just like that and judge him from there. It's almost kind of, I know it's easier said than done, but I know there was that period where we had Michael Keaton as Batman, and then we had Val Kilmer as Batman, and then we had George Clooney as Batman, and then we had Christian Bale, and then we had Ben Affleck, and everybody wants to do the comparisons and everything. And the way I've always tried to approach things is just, okay, just judge them on their own merit for what they were able to do when the assignment was bestowed upon them, and kind of judge them that way, or in their own merit, in their own rights, judge them that way. So, but give Stu time is the best advice that I can give, folks. That's the best advice I can give. We had our first matchup of the night, which was Eli Drake defeating Ken Anderson via pinfall. This came at about just under 10 minutes. Good matchup, good entertaining matchup. I tell you, Ken Anderson looks good. Ken Anderson looks freaking good. It's nice seeing some of these former Impact Wrestling guys, because some of them I kind of wonder, hey, what's going on with these guys? And some of them I heard were doing a little something in the NWA. I just didn't know how many of them were doing stuff for the NWA. And I'm happy to see guys like Ken Anderson, because I know Ken Anderson, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I believe he has a school. And he's been spending a lot of his time, with the school and everything. But it's nice to see him and Eli Drake, two of my favorite guys. I'm looking at Ken Anderson as he's getting ready to get in the ring, and I was ready for him to just point to the sky, and that microphone just dropped down from the heavens above, and I was ready to see him cut his promos or whatever, but it didn't happen, and I was a bit disappointed with that. Has he picked up a little bit of weight since last I saw him? Because he kind of almost has a little bit of a beer gut that's going on now. Yeah, but, still very recognizable, still in good shape for a guy that's probably in his, mid 40s now. I mean, or late 40s. He looks pretty damn good. I got to give him that. Eli Drake never disappoints as well. Eli Drake never disappoints. Closing moments of this one, we saw Drake firing back with a nice, good Fury series of offense moves, but Anderson was countering, eventually hit with the gravy train, turned the gravy train into a cradle. That only got him a near fall. Anderson came back up on top. Drake pops up. Anderson goes for the sunset bomb, but Drake counters it into a bulldog sit-down pin for the W, and that's how Eli Drake was able to pick up the W over Ken Anderson. From there, Nick Aldis was being interviewed. He talked about the NWA rising from the dead, and now here they are. They're making their big, grande, spectacular appearance here on pay-per-view, and talking about holding the World Heavyweight Championship and how what he and Storm was getting ready to do. This is a chance that they're going to have to, basically live forever, get into some deep waters tonight and everything. Marquez, that's the guy's name that I was thinking of earlier that does the interviewing. He asked him about Camille. All this once again saying she had the night off. James Storm arrives, says that, all of what has been happening in the NWA, it's not the result of Nick Aldis. It is because of them. It's a team effort, and the fans, they were cheering for that. And so you're seeing this moment and you're going, wow, like, we're supposed to cheer for somebody and we're supposed to boo for somebody, but here are both of you guys like coming off as faces here. Wow. Okay. You just made this kind of tough for us. Okay. All right. Cool. Thunder Rosa taking on Tasha Steelz. Yeah, Thunder Rosa taking on Tasha Steelz. This was a squash match. I almost want to say that this was a squash match, but it kind of wasn't really. Now, remember, we thought that maybe Thunder Rosa was going to be part of that women's tag team match involving Melina and all that, but it didn't pan out that way. So this was kind of a interesting little curveball that came our way. A bit smart on NWA's part, because after all, Thunder Rosa, she's fresh off of her MMA victory that went down a couple of weeks ago and everything. So, this is kind of smart the way that they had went about this and everything. But yeah, this girl, Tasha Steelz, she has been working in promotions. For those of you that's not familiar with her, she's been working in promotions such as Northeast Wrestling, Queens on Conquest, Chaotic Wrestling. She's mainly wrestled up and down for East Coast promotions, basically. But yeah, she had came on board to the NWA here. And she's also going to be part of the NWA Power tapings, just so you guys know, if you all are a little bit familiar with her. So yeah, there you go. Now you get to look forward to checking her out for a couple of weeks. But yeah, she had a nice little bit of offense from what I was seeing and everything. It was all right. But this was a real short match. This was about 4 minutes and some change. Way this pretty much had closed up or wrapped up was we had saw Steelz firing back, gets tripped up. Rosa works a pendulum, slams her to the buckles, try to do a double stomp, missed. Steelz connects with a bicycle kick. She goes in, hits a cutter, only gets a 2 count. Rosa cuts her off, hits a basement drop kick from the top rope, then did a double stomp, connected for the W. Thunder Rosa defeating Tasha Steelz pretty much like that. Post-match, Rosa had attacked, continued on her attack, and Vox tried to go in for the save, but Rosa cut her off. Man, injured her arm big time. She went MMA on her ass, and visually it was stunning. Made it seem as though she broke Vox's arm off. That thing was pretty. From there, we had saw Aaron Stevens taking on Ricky Stark's video package that had set up a Aaron Stevens promo where he was putting over the question mark, and then they did the official Mongrovian flag ceremony where the question mark was just going, that thing was freaking hilarious. I enjoyed that one. This was another match that was a bit short. It came in just barely, maybe 7 minutes. Question mark taking on Trevor Murdoch. Nice, good back and forth. Nice little bit of brawling going on and everything. Our boy, Aaron Stevens did get involved in this. Now, in the closing moments of this one, we had saw Murdoch coming in with some nice good strikes, connected with a spine buster, heads up to the top, grabs the flag, throws it down. Aaron Stevens grabs him, and Murdoch chases him away. And as that little bit of a distraction goes about, Question Mark hits with the Mongrovian spike for the W. So Aaron Stevens proven to be a big difference maker there for the Question Mark as he continues to connect with the fan. I think that as far as from a comedic entertaining standpoint goes, and this is right up Aaron Stevens' alley and everything, because remember what he was doing in the WWE, and I just can't help but reminisce just briefly about how Aaron Stevens was in the WWE there as Damian Sandow, and you had one of the most charismatic, energetic, fun personalities there on your roster that could literally turn chicken shit into chicken salad. And for whatever respected reasons, you show him the door. And here's a guy that at one point kind of fell out of love with wrestling, and I'm happy that he's back in the game again. I really, really am. And it just seems like this go round, he's picking up literally right where he left off from the WWE. Seems like he's having fun, and that's the most important thing. Didn't particularly care for when he was doing this thing in Impact Wrestling. Kind of seemed like he was doing the opposite of what made him entertaining and all that in the first place in the WWE. It was a weird transitional phase he was going through there. We get the Rock and Roll promo there as Rock and Roll Express. They were out there with Homicide and Kingston hyping up their match. Basically, Homicide and Kingston were there as an insurance policy for that night. Meanwhile, you had the Dawsons. They were out there with the wild cards, Isaacs and Latimer. That pretty much had set up our NWA tag team title match as the Rock and Roll Express shockingly defeated the Wild Cards to retain the NWA tag titles. This was just, whoa, say what? Like, say what? The guys in their 60s. This was a short match too. This one went about, if you were lucky, maybe it went 6, might have been 7 minutes. This one was pretty short. I gotta tell you, I was quite surprised at this. Me, a lot of my friends and colleagues, we were like, well, now that Jim Cornette's out of there, yeah, it's safe to say that Rock and Roll Express, they're gonna lose the titles. But no, on the contrary, they retain the tag titles. So I don't know. I guess the Rock and Roll Express, they really need the money. I don't know if it's a financial thing, but there was a part of me that kind of felt as though, wow. And I'm sure Jim Cornette will probably shed a little bit more light on this. I would like to believe that his cult of Cornettes, whatever he calls his fan base there, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but the cult of Cornette, I would love to believe they're probably going to be asking him, what did you think about your boys, the Rock and Roll Express, retaining the NWA tag titles there? Hey, a lot of us thought they were going to be done after you rolled out because it was just kind of fucked up. I would not be surprised if Jim had said to them, hey, look, whatever goes down with me and NWA, that's my business with them. Don't let it affect any opportunities you guys have to make some decent money with them. I appreciate your friendship. We're friends no matter what. I'm not going to let that get in the way. If they decide they want to continue to do some stuff with you guys, that's with you guys. That's on you all's conscience, what you want to do when they present you whatever opportunities. So, but I know, there's a few people, not for nothing, Rock and Roll Express, I think it's one of them is hurting for money, not both of them. It's one of them that's hurting for money. I try not to pry too much in wrestlers' personal business when it comes to financial issues, not unless they let it be known on social media and all that other stuff. Then it's kind of, okay, we'll go from there. Closing moments of this one, we saw Isaacs. He was coming in with the strikes. There was a charge he had missed as Robert had tagged in. He follows with strikes, gets in a sleeper. Isaacs breaks it up. Latimer accidentally takes out Isaacs, and the champion from there, they take control. Destroyer came in by Ricky, and the others were brawling all throughout. There was double drop kicks done to Isaacs, and pretty much that had set up the champions to retain. I mean, there was really nothing. I'll tell you what, I love seeing the Canadian Exploder that was done. I can't remember who the opponent was, but I know that as far as which Express brother it was, I want to say it was, oh God, it was the one with the white hair. Ricky. It was Ricky Morton that had, oh my God, I'm going, damn, Grandpa, are you okay? Like, seriously, Grandpa, are you all right? Because I mean, I just continue to be amazed at these guys. I seriously continue to be amazed at them, because I'm looking at them and I'm going, Jesus fucking Christ. Robert Gibson is, I think Robert Gibson, between the two, I think Robert is the younger one. Robert is 61 and Ricky is 63. So to see 63-year-old Ricky Morton going out there, you know, doing the fucking Canadian Destroyer and all that shit, I'm just like, my God, man, that is just ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, they're nowhere where they were 10 years ago. But for them to be able to still go in there and get down like that, that is just insane. That is just insane. All right, our next matchup. Let's see what we got on the card here. A couple of more matches ago, and then we're pretty much done here. Next up, there was a promo with Eli Drake. Eli Drake was talking about the main event match. Basically say he didn't know who was going to win. It didn't matter who was going to win because he wants a shot. He feels that he's the hottest thing that's going on in pro wrestling today, and the band that shines the most in the company. And as far as, hey, what has he done lately? He started bragging about how he had defeated Ken Anderson, and how Ken Anderson found out today who the better man was. Well, Anderson did not appreciate those verbal cheap shots, came out and was attacking Drake Maverick, wrapped a chair around his neck. All that, officials came out breaking it all up, but not before he was able to get in the mic check onto that chair, standing victorious there. So obvious, Eli Drake and Ken Anderson not done by a long shot. We got two more matches to talk about, and then we're pretty much wrapping it up here. Marty Bell and Melina took on Allison Kay, but wait. Ashley Vox cannot compete because her arm got damn near broken in half there by our girl there, as I like to call her, Cobra Moon and Serpentine Thunder Rosa. So Allison Kay, is she going into this alone? Is this going to be a handicap? No, we find out that she does have a partner, and that partner is none other than ODB. God, I love me some ODB. ODB, she is so cute. She really, really is. And is it just me, or does it seem like the older she gets, and she's beautifully getting older. I mean, it's looking really good on her, but it seems like the older she gets, the bigger her chest gets. I don't know what's going on with that. It must be the booze. I don't know. But you know, it's always a joy to see her. And I was giving people an update on how her Indiegogo campaign was doing. I believe it wrapped up at about a little over $21,000 that was raised so that she can basically try to restore her food truck business and get back out there on the road and everything. Because as you all know, this is pretty much what she was doing post wrestling. She was pretty much, I mean, she was wrestling still here and there, but for the most part, she was focusing on her food truck business and everything. So her goal, if I remember it right, she was trying to get either $50,000 or $60,000, and she was only able to raise a little bit over $21,000. That's still pretty damn good. But we just saw her at the recent batch of tapings for Impact. And remember, right now, you've got, if it hasn't already happened yet, there's a pay-per-view event or an Impact Wrestling event that's supposed to be coming up where she's supposed to be involved in a triple threat match with Jordan Grace and Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie. As a triple threat dance for the Knockouts championship. So, you know, all of that, you know, it was nice to see her back into the fold with Impact once again, but then here she is doing her thing here in NWA as well. 8 out of 10, you'd like to believe she's going to be part of the next batch of NWA Power tapings as well. As remember, they're supposed to be taping Sunday and Monday. And shout out to NWA, because there was some news that had broke out by PW Insider and a couple of other outlets where they were saying that as far as the pre-orders went for NWA Into the Fire, the pay-per-view buys and everything from Fight TV, they were saying it did phenomenal, that there was a lot of buys for it. They basically were saying it had the largest pre-sale orders to date for the promotion. And they also had talked about how the NWA Power TV tapings for this Sunday and Monday had sold out. So congrats to NWA winning on all cylinders there, man. Great stuff right there. But Melina, and oh my God, Melina. Oh, Melina looking so good tonight. Melina, oh my God. All those girls were looking good. But I mean, I've always been a sucker for ODB, and I've always been a sucker for Melina. Even Allison Kay was looking pretty fine tonight. I got to give her some props as well, man. This was a short match, though. I would have loved it if these girls would have went about, almost 12 minutes, but this was kind of short as well. These girls went about, it was barely 10 minutes. Kind of felt like it went about 7 minutes and some change, so to speak. Closing moments of this one, Marty Bell, she had hit a DDT, tried to go in for a cover, only got a near fall. Melina tags in, misses a kick. ODB tags in, and she's got the hot tag basically. So she's running wild and everything. She's doing fall away slams on Marty Bell. She does the Bronco Buster. That only got her a 2 count. Melina comes in for the save and everything. And from there, there was a total breakdown as AK-47 was done on Melina. ODB connects with the Bam on Bell. And that pretty much was it. It was the 1, 2, 3, ODB and Allison Kay defeating Melina and Marty Bell. So going into the next batch of NWA Power TV tapings, you'd like to believe that, okay, so ODB, Allison Kane, okay, and Allison Kay, all right, so they're going to be around for a little bit, forming this alliance and balance out the odds and everything. Look, I hope that ODB sticks around going into NWA's next pay-per-view. I think that would be freaking awesome if that's the direction that they're going to be going into. All throughout the night, I was making fun, and I was one of the first people to point this out. I might have been the only person to point this out, but once I did, a lot of other people started recognizing this and going, oh yeah, we got a serious problem here. So there was, and when you get ready to watch the encore of this on demand, you'll see this for yourself. But pretend you're looking at the pay-per-view right now, okay? And hard camera, first front row, there is a black couple. There is an older looking black woman with a gray long sleeve sweater. And it looks like she has on a gray hat. Maybe it's a pinkish, lightish hat, but you'll know her when you see her. And she's sitting down the entire freaking time. Meanwhile, the guy that she's with, he, bald head black guy, nice, clean looking white teeth, I'm not making fun of him, but his teeth look kind of buckish just a little bit, but he seems to be into it. And you see him, he's trying really hard to get her into it. He's gesturing over to her, and she acts like, I don't know what the fuck is going on with her. I don't know if sister had too many of them Popeye's chicken sandwiches and she got the itis as a result, or what the hell's going on. I don't know if she had escaped from the meth clinic, and I don't know what's going on with her, but she seems to be disinterested like a mofo. She seems like she does not want to be there. She doesn't care for it. And I was pointing around, and like eventually everybody else was going, yeah, what the hell is going on with her? And I just couldn't help but every single time I was looking at her, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Because she did not look entertained. Many points you see her dozing the fuck off, eyes closing, all that. People are coming out. They're making their entrances and everything, trying to get the crowd into it. You got people cheering. I mean, and that was the cool part, because I'm a sucker. Whenever I watch a pay-per-view or I watch a wrestling show, I'm always panning out the crowd. One of the first things I'm looking at is, okay, how are we doing minorities wise? It's not just a black thing. I'm looking at, okay, how many blacks we got in attendance? How many Chinese? How many Hispanics, right? Well, pick a card, any card. Give me a royal flush. What we got going on in the crowd, race demographics wise? Okay, what's going on with the age demographics? We got any kids in attendance? What's going on here? Okay, what's the ratio between men, women? What's going on with all of that? And if you guys are kind of wondering how all that, mostly men, the audience here, it seemed as though it was mostly 35 and up. That's what it really felt like. I didn't really see too many 20 and under folks in there. It felt more 35 and up. Oldest, I swear at one point, I swear to God, I saw a couple of people that were in their late 50s to early 60s that were there in attendance. So it was a good, mainly whites. I'll definitely tell you guys it was mainly whites, but it was so weird to just all the action that was going on throughout the night. And she acted like, I don't really give a damn about this. I don't particularly care for this. Once in a blue moon, she did these little punk ass little golf claps, and she just had this look on her face like, you told me where we were going was church and that we were going to be listening to Christmas carols. You did not say we were going to be going to a wrestling show. And she just seemed very stuck up. Very fucking stuck up. It was irritating as hell. And my advice to NWA going forward, when it comes to these NWA Power TV shows, when it comes to these pay-per-view events, man, for those first 2 to 3 rows, if you got people that are acting like how that sister was acting, whoever your producer is, have them go out and whoever's doing crowd control, hey guys, we're setting up another video package right now, but we really need you all to be energetic. We need you guys to stand up. We need you guys to be clapping, cheering, really get into this. Or if you got to go off and you, in this case, like that woman, you got to single her out and say a little something. I'm like this. After you've been told a couple of times, the last warning needs to be, hey, if you don't start getting into this, we're going to have to relocate you elsewhere because it's not playing out good on TV. We'll gladly refund you your money. We'll send you home with some nice parting gifts, but we can't have you sit right here and you're acting like a zombie. That's not cool. To my point, why I continue to go on and on and on about this. I'm complaining about this woman all throughout the night. Mish and everybody else will tell you how much I was complaining about this. So we go to our NWA national title match between the NWA national champion Colt Cabana taking on Aaron Stevens and Ricky Starks. So Ricky Starks was the first one to come out there. He's interacting with the crowd, all that good stuff. And he makes his way over to the fans. That's basically, okay, the hard camera is on them. So he's interacting with everybody. He gets to that same sister and he's being very polite to her, and he takes her hand and he's kissing her hand and, interacting with her and everything. She's still sitting down for all of this. Now keep in mind, she didn't stand up. She wasn't doing shit when it came to the NWA tag title match. Okay, hey, you got tag belts that's on the line. Okay, stand up, cheer. This is one of your 3 titles that's going to be on the line tonight. Nah, she wasn't doing that. This is your second match here where there's some titles on the line. She wasn't getting into it and everything, right? Then you've got in-ring, actually, I'll get to him in a second. Aaron Stevens comes out next. Then your NWA national champion Colt Cabana comes out. And Colt Cabana has the boom, boom, Colt Cabana, boom, boom, Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana, he's moving, he's interacting with the crowd and everything. He goes over to that sister. And you can read his lips and you can see his body language and his hands as he's gesturing to her. Come on, you can stand up for this. Come on now. This is one of your main events here. Come on, you can stand up. Come on. What's going on? And I'm thinking to myself, well, I hope she doesn't have some type of a disability, because if she has some type of a disability and she kind of really can't stand, for even a short period of time, without needing some type of help, then that's going to come off dickish or whatever. But I'm like, nah. She ain't got no handicap. She just don't want to be there. And so reluctantly, you see her stand up, and Colt Cabana kind of has this look like, thank you, that's all I wanted, and you're going, yeah, get her the fuck out of there. Like, seriously, she was such major buzzkill throughout the whole night. It wasn't even fun. Now, I usually pan out for the crowds, try to see, different facial expressions and everything. And she definitely was one of those people I just was like, yeah, you fucking suck big time. NWA National Title match, triple threat match. This went about almost 14 minutes long. Colt Cabana, oh my God, I love me some Colt Cabana, man. Close but no cigar, man. Aaron Stevens coming in with the upset as he is your new NWA National Champion. Let's pick this up. Closing moments of this one. We had saw the flying asshole, followed by Colton Starks drop kicking and doing sentons on Stevens. That was just for 2. Starks then takes control of the match, applies a crowbar twist. Colt escapes, counters into the Billy Goat's curse. He won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship that way. Starks fights it off by making it to the ropes. Stevens, he's hiding pretty much throughout the whole match, basically. Colt and Starks, they're continuing to trade near falls. Both of them looking pretty exhausted, pretty irritated. Some elbow strikes by Colt. Starks comes in with a tornado DDT. Colt fires right back, hits with a Superman pin, but the question mark comes in with the Mongrovian spike. This is as the referee is distracted a bit because the referee is paying more attention to what's going on with Ricky as opposed to what's going on, a little bit outside of the ring and everything. So question mark hits with the Mongrovian spike. Stevens then rushes all the way down to the ring and basically steals the pin and the championship. Aaron Stevens, the asshole, is your new NWA national title champion. I'll just say national champion. He's your new NWA national champion. Look, this is good for Aaron Stevens. This is good. Interesting chemistry, interesting dynamics that's going on there between Aaron and the question mark. What such a odd couple, but very entertaining as hell. And I know people are like, what is up with the flesh tone colors that this guy is wearing? Looks like he's nude. That's the whole point, is to get you talking and all that other stuff, man. I don't mind it. But I love this chemistry that these guys continue to have with each other. I continue to wonder who is under that mask. Who is the question mark? Or the bigger question is, who is the mark? Yeah, you turn that into a t-shirt there. Who is the mark, right? Is it you? Is it me? Anybody can be the mark, right? It's some nice little promos you got right there, and new t-shirt designs there, NWA. You're welcome. Get started on it already, man. I would definitely buy a couple of those if they did it, for sure. But all in all, for a pay-per-view in which I only paid $19.99 before December 7th, because remember, they had it for a special discount if you bought it through Fight TV afterwards. It was going to be, I believe, $26. This was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining. It was good money, well spent, especially if you're kind of like me and you were looking for something a bit refreshing, something new. This was definitely, it fit that. And look, not for nothing, we got WWE TLC that's right around the corner, and what looks to be a pretty weak pay-per-view, because we really did not hear anything about, okay, so this is your pay-per-view that's going to be coming up. We really didn't hear anything about matches that's going to be happening and all that other stuff. So usually history has shown when WWE has operated like this, the pay-per-view actually ends up being good. I don't really know. You all's guess is as good as mine. But what a great weekend that we have so far for wrestling. You've got AAA doing its thing. You've got ROH doing its thing. NWA did its thing. WWE is going to be doing its thing this Sunday. And then you've got the Broken Skull sessions with Goldberg, followed up with a new Monday Night Raw. So, I mean, these next couple of days is a great time to be a wrestling fan and everything. But I would definitely say, if you did not get an opportunity, go out of your way check out NWA Into the Fire. You guys will definitely not be disappointed. Now, I did poll you guys and ask you all, what did you think about tonight's NWA Into the Fire? I've got one poll that is up right now on Twitter. And so far, here is where we stand. Right now, we've got 81% of people giving NWA Into the Fire a thumbs up. Meanwhile, 19% of you are giving the pay-per-view a thumbs down. So I will also have, for those of you that do not have the Twitter, I will have a poll option open as well, not only on Facebook, but there will be a poll option on YouTube. Click on the communities tab. I'll definitely got to give a nod to Lance Lumley on Twitter. He said the only complaint I had was the cameras missing the Rock and Roll Express end and the part where question mark interfered at the end of the triple threat. Other than that, it was great. Loved how they went match to match without a lot of in-between stuff. Time flew. That's the thing with question mark interfering. If you blink too fast, you would have missed it. I do agree with Lance from this standpoint. There should have been instant replay that was shown, and folks at home should have seen when the question mark had interfered. Stu and Joe should have stressed it even more. I do agree with Lance from that standpoint. Cameras missing the Rock and Roll Express end. I would have to go back and look at that. I kind of remember seeing that, but I think to kind of follow up on what Lance was saying, to maybe have an encore, brief little recap of key moments, keys to victory, basically. I wouldn't be having a hard time with that. I don't think anybody would be complaining on that. Just to get some brief recaps. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I'm going to include for you guys the image. I'm going to have it be the thumbnail for the show, and I'm going to have it be the thumbnail pretty much everywhere else. But when you guys see what I'm talking about as far as Nick Aldis and Marty Scurll, you're looking and you're like, one of these guys belongs in the NWA and the other guy looks like he doesn't belong at all, right? It looks so one-sided, it's not even funny. You guys definitely got to check it out. But that is going to do it. Want to take this time out and want to recognize some of our Patreon members, because without their kind contributions, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. Shout out to John Krauser, who continues to do his thing at the Second City Theater this month for his Brain Freak Live holiday special shows. If you're going to be in the Chicago area this month, check him out. Bing Google search, use the keywords John Krauser, Kraus as in Sam, ER, John Krauser, Second City. Do that in the Bing Google search, you'll be able to pull him up. Shout out to Justin Ripstock, Sean Kenter, Tony Bean Gaming, want the very latest in all things Marvel video gaming, news, reviews. Tony Bean Gaming has a great YouTube channel and Patreon wall as well. Shout out to Freddie R. Freddie! Shout out to Michael Wolf, John Davis, Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup, and shout out to Joe Raymond Jr. Also, shout out to all of our sponsors for this edition, the special edition of the RCWR show. So that is going to do it. Your next edition, we're going to be coming at you guys Sunday night. We are going to be coming on live after WWE TLC. We will be doing a post show that'll be streaming live everywhere. YouTube, Discord, Spreaker, the RCWR show app available in the Google Play Store. Yes, we will be live. Actually, a double dose. We'll be coming at you guys live with that. And then a couple hours later, I'll be coming at you guys live with the Broken Skull Sessions Goldberg review. So double dose that we got coming for you guys Sunday going into Monday. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes of the RCWR show you may have missed on demand and on the downloads. We're now on Pandora. Appreciate those of you that are checking out the show via Pandora. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR show. And until next go round, wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly be kind to one another. I will see you all next go round. Adios.
Thanks for listening. An Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive.